young people. I always get excited. I always talking to 12-year-olds all the time. So you
You sound like
definitely glowing over there.
that's so funny. You sound just like my friend Kim, who I just had a chat with. She's in Jamaica, and
Ah,
she's so used to being with kids. She's an educator. She said the same thing. She's like, I am so glad to talk to an adult. I don't know how to.
right, you do. And then when you talk to adults, you start doing stuff that you pick up stuff from the kids, and you're
Yes.
like, 'cause I used to do this. Like I had a kid who used to do like this, and then I was like, and my boyfriend was like, "Why are you doing that?" I was like, "I don't know."
No.
It's so weird when you pick up from kids. It's so weird. So
Oh my gosh. This is so wonderful. I so appreciate you doing this. It's
thanks for
really,
the invitation.
oh man, I have so much stuff I want to talk to you about. I mean, I know that you're a yogi and all that, but being expats alike,
Yeah,
so to speak, and
definitely.
those challenges and um those experiences, you know, it's so nice to be able to have a chat. So, you know, why don't we at least start with your name, where you are, and we'll kind of go from there. That'll at least get us started.
Okay, okay. Okay, I'm in Tiani or Inti, and I'm located in the great state of Qatar, which for those who don't know, because a lot of people do not know, that it's like a 45-minute flight from UAE or Dubai. So we're like this little tiny country in the
Ah,
Gulf region that is trying to get its name out there. You people probably hear about it more and more now, but I didn't know it existed until I applied for my job. So it's tiny and it's making a name for itself. So
see, I'm so glad you said that because I was like, is she in Dubai? Because I was like,
yeah, I know.
there's a D in there somewhere.
Yeah, Doha. Yeah, so I'm in the city of Doha, which is the main city in Qatar. It doesn't. There's not a lot of cities here. We're in the big city. Actually, it's really nowhere else to go outside of Doha. So yeah, that's why. But a lot of people I mean, like I said, it's still a relatively small country. It's still getting its name out there, but it's a good place. It's a
It's
good
a good
place.
place, huh?
Yeah, it
How
is.
long have you been there?
This is just my third year. That's it.
She goes, just my third year.
I mean, because it feels like because I think like even my first year, you just get used to it like so quickly. I mean, there's still things I'm getting used to, but like being here, like 1 month feels like 3 months or something. Like it's like time stands still where you're at.
Ah,
I'm like,
uh-huh,
I always call it this expat bubble that I live in. I just live in
uh-huh.
a bubble. So it feels like I've been here longer than what I have. Even though, trust me, every day is a learning opportunity, and I learned something new about myself, about this city. I mean, it's pretty incredible, pretty good.
Wow. So how did you end up there anyway? I mean, you say you applied for your job, but how did you end up there?
Yeah, kind of an okay. I wouldn't say it was a good accident. Honestly, I never heard of it. So I was applying for my teaching. Like I was just looking at international teaching positions randomly. Seriously, it was random. I had no plan. And then because I'm a special education teacher, that
Ah,
limited where I could teach at because I was looking to continue to be working with students with special needs. So there were places in China, but it was a lot of jobs that came up in Qatar, and I was like, Google, what's Qatar? Like, what is this? And then when I did the research, I was blown away. Like, how did I never hear about this place? I mean, it's even though I'm in the Gulf region, and I know like with Americans, there's so many misconceptions about the Middle East itself. I mean, what I read, it's very modern, it's very progressive. The foundation that I work for, there are so many women spearheading it that
no
it is
kidding.
like girl power here. And I was like, I like that. I want to do that. So I really applied accidentally. And then everything just happened so fast. I mean, like I said to somebody, it still didn't even hit until I got here. Like I was on the plane like I guess I'm going somewhere. Like I'm guessing my bags are packed, but and then I got off the plane like this is real. Like I'm really here. This is a real place. Like it just was still surreal. Even now,
Ah,
some days I'll be like in the car, like I live in a foreign country. Like yeah, it really is. Like it's
yes, yes,
very
I know
bizarre.
that feeling. I know that
Yeah,
feeling, and it's got to feel very different, even because you are in the Middle East. So culturally, it's very different. I mean, we're in Europe, and we
oh,
still
yeah.
sometimes I wake up in the morning and I look out the window. I'm like, okay, there's the Mediterranean.
Yeah, how nice in Spain. I love Spain so much. I got to go there the last summer, or the summer before last, and it was so amazing. I look at your pictures like I want to be there too. Oh,
Hopefully, we can get if we can get this COVID crap together.
I
You know,
know. I know.
I know. So you teach. Where are you from in the states? You were
Okay, so I'm from
special ed.
Indiana. Yeah, special education teacher. I taught for like 15 years in Indiana. Born and
Uh-huh.
raised there. Never left. Never left until I turned 37. Even for college, I went my university. I went to Indiana University. It was like 45 minutes away
Uh,
from home. So I
so you were
really
close.
never went anywhere except to travel.
Now, see, people need to know that because people get really afraid. So many
Oh,
Americans, in particular, get so afraid to branch out and travel. I mean, even travel within the United States, let alone their
oh,
own state, for that
right.
matter.
See, I
Uh,
traveled a lot. I traveled a lot. My mom was my original travel buddy. We traveled to. We started off with Europe and from there, but I just never lived anywhere else. Oh,
hmm
like never more than 15 minutes from my mom. Like I just never, except for college, we were just always in our little circle. So,
hmm
yeah, but travel, I did a lot. I traveled a lot.
You did
Uh,
travel a lot.
Oh yeah, oh, as much as I've always had the little travel bug, but I think, but just to live somewhere else, I didn't even fathom it till later, like honestly later in life. Like even when I thought about student teaching abroad, I signed up, I went to a class, and I quit. I was like, I can't do it. I
You
can't do it.
did.
I totally quit. I was like, I can't do it. And then every time I thought about moving away from home, like I looked at Colorado, California, New York, but the rent's too high.
Yeah,
I
really.
couldn't do it. I just was like, no, I just think, and Indiana's good. A lot of people don't know much about Indiana, but it's a fun. Indianapolis in particular, it's just fun. It's a fun city. It's a big city, but it's like a small
Small
town.
town. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I loved it. I miss it.
I've only been there for work, so I can't say that I've spent any time there because usually the work was fly into a hotel, be in a training space, go out to
uh,
eat and come back and get back in the hotel and then fly out
yeah.
and go home. So it's not, I haven't really spent much time there, but I have heard people say they really love it because of that, because it is a city, but you don't feel like it's that kind of city, if you
No,
know what I
not at all. Everything's pretty compact.
mean.
Good food, a good place for wine if you like wine. I mean, it's just yeah. I was gonna
I'm
say
all in.
that's what people don't know. Indiana wines are really good, and just food. Like I miss the food from home.
Do
So like
you?
so
Yeah.
many small local restaurants that are just like you would never think you would get this in Indiana. Everybody thinks it's just corn and like country. And my accent does not represent Indiana. I do not know why I have this accent. I just don't know where
That's
I got
so
it
funny.
from. Get
I
the
don't
question
know
all
that
the
I
time.
hear. I don't know that I'm trying to place what I think I hear. I don't. A lot of people will
My,
say to me, I mean, I'm from New
uh-huh.
Jersey and I kind of
I
lost the
gotcha.
Jersey thing, except for when
Okay.
I'm with family in Jersey.
Oh, then it all comes back out.
Yes, and then people go when the kids were young, they would go, "Oh, wow, mom, you sound like grandma." It's like,
Oh,
or people would say, when I'm around, they would go, "You either sound like you're from Jersey or you sound like you're from Brooklyn. Where are you from?" I'm like, "Not from
hi.
Brooklyn," but I don't really think
Hi, where?
every now and then I'll say a word, and my husband will tease me because
Okay.
he goes, "Say that word again." I'm like, "I'm not gonna say it," because he goes, "Yeah, there go that Jersey."
Is he from Jersey too, or is he from somewhere else? Like, where's your
He
husband?
is actually he is actually was born in the Bronx. However, he grew up in Connecticut, and I went to
Oh,
undergrad and grad in Connecticut. So I'd been in
Right.
Connecticut longer than I lived my life in Jersey. Um,
Okay.
so I think a lot of it is because I went to school in New England. So I kind of, I go home, but
Uh-huh.
I would say, and not necessarily in a negative way, I'm saying this, but I would say my accent got whitewashed. I mean, it really did.
Yeah.
Um, so you didn't really hear a lot of the Jersey part. Although when we
Mhm.
were in England, we were in London, and we went in a store, and this person said, you're from the States?" And my husband goes, "Yes." He goes, "How did you know?" The person goes, "Oh, it was a woman." She goes, "Not necessarily from you, but from your wife." I was like, "Oh,
Well,
excuse me."
thank you. What did I do? I thought I got rid of what?
What's that about? It was really kind of funny. It definitely was kind
Yeah.
of funny. So tell me a little bit about your I'm gonna I'm trying to remember. I really want to share with folks how we connected because we have not been connected for that long.
Exactly.
And so far, everybody that I've had a chat with, the connection on Instagram has
Yeah.
been over a period of time.
Yeah.
Some of them years actually. People don't think that you can actually build
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
thorough, really rich relationships
Yeah.
through social media, and you really can in a very
Yes,
positive
you can.
way. But you and I have not been connected, and I'm trying to think how it's. I don't even know how long it's been. Not been long, but
Yeah, not long at all.
no, but it's from hashtags, Black expats, Black women
Ah,
travel, Black,
okay.
and I think it was really through Black expats and your podcast. So why don't you tell people a little bit about that, and then we'll sort of segue a little bit into your yoga experience.
Okay. So yeah, we connected. So we talk about a short period of time. This summer, I started a Instagram Black Women Abroad with a expat in Korea, in South Korea, that I had just met.
No
So
kidding.
yeah, it's
You
like
guys just met.
like totally agreeing with you about you can really you find the most interesting connections with people through Instagram, just online. And then so a family friend of mine has her own Instagram, and she just will send people my way like, hey, you two should connect, you two should connect. So she sent her name is Yusuf. She was like, you two should connect, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, and no one ever works. Oh my god, no one ever works out. But she and I like connected, and then we were like just talking about the expat life. We're both 30 somethings. And then and then we're just kind of like the awkward black girls. So we just totally connected on that. And then she had the idea like, let's start a podcast and start an Instagram. And I was like, okay. Like, we never met in real life, not at all. But we were both in quarantine, and she's quarantined in South Korea. I'm quarantined in Qatar with my cat who might run across the screen.
That's
And
okay.
then yeah, we were both like, why not? And so we just started it in, oh my gosh, like August. I think we just started it
Oh,
in
you had
August,
just
and then
started.
yeah, we just started it. So we're like, and then it's just interesting because we started it and we're getting to know each other while we're doing this. And then sometimes doing the podcast is really cool because it's just a conversation between us expats. Like, we're really just talking to each other and hoping that other people like like what we're talking about, because our we have so many similarities, and then yet we're in two completely different parts of the world. I mean, we're
Isn't
both in
that
Asia.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhat. So I think that's how we connected. You and I did, um, through Black Women Abroad. So and Black Women Abroad's been great because, like, as an expat, you don't realize how much you need other expats,
It's
because
true.
no one really can understand this odd. It is an odd journey that you choose to go on. It is a choice, and sometimes I'm like, why did I choose to leave? I mean, I'm 7,000 miles away from home.
Mhm.
After not living more than 15 minutes from my mom and like my family and my friends, and my life was good in Indiana. I really couldn't complain too much, honestly. But I just, I just needed something more. So
Mm-hmm.
I just left. I thought I would be here for 1 year. Honestly, I thought I'd be here for 1 year. I was like 1 year and I'm out. I'm going back to Indiana, and we're going on year three. And honestly, I don't know when I'm gonna go. I have no idea. Like I don't
Isn't
know.
it something?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow, I had no idea. See, isn't it? I would have thought that the two of you, would have had that podcast for such a long time, or at least, at least a year.
yeah. I
That's
was like, yeah,
fascinating.
yeah,
When they say things happen for a reason, they really happen for a reason. The
yeah.
connections that people make, and if you're a person that is open enough, that point that you made about needing expats, regardless of your race or whatever,
Yeah.
expats needing other expat is so true. It's so
Yeah.
true because that journey, that choice journey, is a fascinating
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
one.
mean, it's weird. It really is bizarre. Like we are just a different type of people. And then I've had like my mom just has learned to accept who I am. Like I've always been a little wanderer. I've always been the one who just does different stuff always.
Hmm.
Uh, but no one can kind of understand why you would choose to, like why, like except for another wandering spirit.
Yes. And people,
Yeah.
that's always the question, why? And it's got to be even more so for someone who makes that transition as a single person, and
Yeah.
particularly a single woman, and particularly a single Black woman. I mean, really,
Oh, yeah.
people are like, whoa, wait, I can only imagine. I mean, we came here, transitioned here. Um, my husband, totally the opposite end of the spectrum
Uh-huh.
from you. Um, because I mean, he's fully retired. I'm sort of, I guess you could say semi-retired, but not really, really, because I don't think I'll ever
You're
retire.
getting
But
there.
I just got to
Okay.
do stuff. You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
but it is
Y'all
the
like
opposite.
busy lady.
I know. I mean, I just got to do stuff. It's like doing this now.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, this must be something fun. It
Yeah.
has a purpose behind it, but it'll be interesting to be able to chat with people and share experiences. So, how did you get into yoga?
Oh, okay. So yoga is interesting. I don't even know when I started to take yoga classes. I've taken yoga classes for years, just on and off. Even back at home, I had a really nice yoga studio, but it really wasn't until I moved to Qatar that I was able to take it a little bit more seriously
Hmm.
because I have more time. I have more time than I did it, stateside with work. It's a lot more relaxed. But what really made me change and really take yoga more seriously like a lifestyle versus just exercise was
Right.
that the oh man, that first 6 months of being abroad, I was like, like I hated it. I just
Ah,
wanted to go home. I just thought I just didn't like I just didn't like fit into. It's just such a weird. I just couldn't, I just didn't know my place, or
mhm, mhm.
like know what I wanted to do. Cause like I said, I just thought I would be here for one school year and that's it. The school year is almost over. And my anxiety was at a height. My depression was at a height. I
Mhm.
mean, I just was like at a breaking point. And then I went to a New Year's class, suns like 108 sun salutations to ring in the new year. And
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was doing. I just thought 108. Oh, we're not gonna do 108 sun salutations. We're just gonna like it's just gonna be a cutesy little class with candles and oh
Yeah.
no, I never really took sun salutations very seriously, and to go in there, I was like, oh my gosh. So that yeah, that sent me like, but I was like, I did it. I modified a little bit, but I did it, and then like that just like it was just a shift. I just
Mhm.
started to like just do what I wanted to do because I don't honestly know a lot of yogis over here, so that's why I was excited to connect with you too. I don't know many. My yoga studio's shutting down, and I've just been kind of sad. I'm the only like yoga person that I know around here, which is fine now. I've kind of recruited a few people to at least try it, But that was it. And then, so I just took it seriously. We have what we call Ramadan intensive classes. So they're like 5 day a week, hour and a half. And I'm kind of that person, like you, a busybody. I'm like, I can do it. Don't, if you challenge me, I'm going to do it.
You
So
right?
I did 3 weeks of classes, handstands, stuff that I never thought aerial that I would ever do in my life. And I did it. It hurt. It was painful, but but that I just was like, but when I noticed that my anxiety was decreasing, my depression was like, I wasn't nearly as depressed. I really contributed to really taking yoga seriously. So
Hmm.
even though I practiced for a while, for years, I mean, just that mental shift, like yoga is an inside out. It's not
That's
an
right.
outside. At least for me, it's not an outside. I'm not gonna get skinny real quick. I'm not gonna. It's like this. It like breaks you down. I've been on my mat crying. Like I've been on my mat
Mm.
throwing my mat. Like I'm not doing it today. And then I'm like, okay, come on, let's go. Do a little
I'm
so
sorry I
I
threw
mean,
you.
it's just been good. Huh? Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. But it's just been good for like it's been more like good for my mental health.
Mm.
And just this past 2.5 years, I kind of fell off because of quarantine. Like quarantine just really threw me off.
It did, huh?
Like
Hmm.
man, it was rough. I mean, at first I was going really strong. Like I said, my yoga studio closed here, or no, we moved online, and then it just was everything was out of whack. But I'm kind of getting back together, connecting with you, other people, just seeing your feeds. I'm gonna get back into my like because like most people will notice like I notice the difference when I do not practice. I
Yes,
notice
it's
a
true.
huge difference physically and mentally. And like my boyfriend would be like, "You need to go practice yoga,"
Uh-oh.
and I'm like, "I know I do." I mean, he even like you. It makes such a difference. Like,
Isn't that
and you're like,
something? Yeah.
"Yeah," and I'm like, "It does." I didn't really notice it was that deep. He's like, "Yeah, it is." So yeah,
So when you went to, I'm going to just back up a little bit. When you went to the studios in Indiana, were they diverse?
yeah. Can I sip my water first?
Sure, sip
Oh,
your water. I have
I
my
think
water
that
too.
because I feel like I'm gonna spill some tea on my tea or my places in Indiana. Like, no, not at all. No, no,
Hmm.
no.
Hmm.
I would get. You know how you get excited when you would see another. Just an. I know if I saw another black person, I was like secretly, I'm like, like sending signals to
I'm
each other
sick.
across the.
Can you feel it coming? Can you feel it?
Yeah, no. I mean, I was in a. I used to run, so it was nice to go with one of some girls in my run club. But on a regular, I was all, and then I'm plus size, so I was the only brown plus size person in there always.
Hmm.
Um,
Always. Hmm.
yeah.
Did you feel welcomed? I'm curious because I mean, different regions can feel. Yeah.
Mm,
Mm.
I mean, my person. I mean, because I understand how Indiana works. I say I was tolerated, but
Mm.
because I kind of not impose myself, but I'm gonna let you know I'm there. I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask questions, and I'm going to, and then because I like to challenge myself, you say I can't do that, I'm gonna do it. My leg is gonna go here, even though
Yeah. Right.
and I'm pretty flexible. So I think that a lot of people, and I used to take gymnastics, karate, all kinds of different things. So I'm actually pretty physically active. So I could do things, and they would be like, "Really? She can?"
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it was a, I just and then it's Indiana. I got used to it. You just get used to being the only person of color in most spaces. Just
In
kind of
most
grew up that.
spaces. Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of grew up that way.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
yeah.
And some of it is location, and some of it is being that, sort of active spirit that you are that leads you to things that typically maybe other people would not do. So
Right. Yeah.
I think when you're a person of color, when you're a woman of color and you do those things, you often find yourself as the one and only or the one or two. You're lucky if you got five, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you're constantly in those spaces and you do adjust because you just do. If you want to do it, You're going to
Yep.
adjust. Um,
Yeah.
and you can't be a shrinking violet if you're,
Exactly.
in order for you to participate and be
Yeah.
involved in those things that you like or you want to
Mm-hmm.
be a part of. What about when you're there, when you started your yoga there? I'm curious what the mix of yogis are, racially, ethnically, religious wise. I'm just curious.
No, it's no more diverse here. It's no more
Ah,
diverse.
really?
And that bothered me. And the more I learn about it, the more, like I said, I'm still learning and taking it more seriously. And that bothered me. And then my partner, he's Indian. So to hear from him, he's from Delhi, to hear
Uh-huh.
from him something that's been a part of his upbringing, his culture, to just to be, I'm 4 hours from India. I'm not far,
Oh,
not far from India at all. But to go into the yoga studio and I just still see like it's still white women and there's a few men, but it bothers me more now than it did stateside, because of our proximity, because of the diversity that we do have here in Qatar. It's like, why can't we have more diverse
huh.
teachers? And even when I went to a yoga retreat in Goa, I that now that made me mad. And granted, I did choose a nicer retreat to go to. Yeah. It's I was still like, why is everybody European? Like, why?
Oh,
This
wow.
I'm in India. I'm in Goa, and again, Goa is kind of parts of it's a little bit more touristy, and some yoga retreats in India are touristy. I get
That's
it.
right.
I get
Right,
I
right,
picked
right.
the more, but still, there could have been more like it could have been more authentic and that I just was like irritated. And then here, honestly, I don't practice so much here. I've actually found a really cool yoga studio in Canada of all places that just it embraces diversity. I've never
Wow.
had so many black yoga instructors before, and I this that's a good thing about the quarantine for me is that I've been able to branch out, find new studios, and then also I do underbelly yoga with
Hmm.
Jessamine Stanley, who
Yes.
I
Yes.
knew
I
she
love
changed
her.
my life. I
Yes.
swear, she's and like you said, you can't be a shrinking violet. She is no shrinking
Oh, heck
violet,
no.
and
Uh-uh.
but yeah, is out there, and I love that about her because once I read her book, that made me feel. It actually made me more confident because going into yoga studio, I'm black, I'm plus size. No, I'm not. We're gonna make this work for me because I know what I need to do for my body. You don't know what to do for my body, but I do.
That's
So
right.
I just do whatever I just do whatever I want to do, half the time, and then I kind of like to show out, like because I mean it doesn't matter what size I am. It's just about it's just about where I am in my practice, so I can do some of the things that little skinny minis can do. Like it doesn't matter because I'll
Right.
get people who look at me like, are you sure you can? Or I have an instructor. Should you be here? I've been practicing for a very long time. Thank
Hello.
you. Like
Wow.
I got this. So I feel like I'm sorry if I'm like jumping all over. I
No,
get
no,
really
no.
excited. But yeah, being here and still seeing lack of diversity just keeps like it just keeps fueling me. And then I'll show up in any of these spaces, and I'll just be that. If I'm the only black person, I'm the only black person, and I'll just show up and show out. As my
Right.
okay, hi.
Hi.
What
Hi,
you say?
kitty.
He's a little bit. He's not camera shy. Not high.
Hi.
He like barks
That's
when I'm like,
that's fascinating. I mean, I know that you're pointing about going to being in Goa, and I know that a lot of yoga retreats and whatever pre-COVID,
yeah.
happened there. And I don't know if she went to Goa or I don't know which, but I have a friend in Connecticut who did that. I mean, it's rather
Mhm.
expensive. I mean, I can't
Right.
imagine.
Yeah, that's why I went to the budget one,
Yeah,
but
but
I
but
didn't want to.
yeah, but
But
it must have been
yeah, 'cause-
surprising to go to one of the birthplaces of yoga
yeah,
and then find yourself surrounded with
just
99.9% white people.
same old stuff. I mean,
Wow.
it really was. It was not. It was still a good experience that I
Mhm.
needed at the time. And then I could have chosen. Like I said, there's other more authentic. Like my partner and I, we did a meditation course together through. So I don't know where they were in India, but a friend of his. So I've tried more authentic
Mhm.
experiences, but that's because he's Indian and
He's
he has those
Indian.
connections. That's not, yeah, that's not something I would have
Wow.
access to if it weren't, yeah. Or I
Huh.
mean, I had to dig deep. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Right. Wow. And you did you say he's from Goa? Is that where he's from?
Oh no, he's from Delhi.
Oh, he's from Delhi. That's
Yeah,
right. You
he's
did
a
say
Delhi
Delhi.
guy.
Uh-huh.
Uh huh.
I've
But
never been to India.
it's
One of those
interesting.
places. Still haven't gotten there.
It is. It is quite a interesting
Experience,
country.
huh? Yes, I've
Um,
heard.
I don't. It's something that you have to. Ooh, yeah, man. But I think the one thing about India, people, even I didn't get, is how diverse it is. A lot of people hate Delhi because it is crowded. It is
Mm.
crowded. You are overloaded. But there's so many beautiful different parts to the country that are just worth
Mhm.
checking out if you
Mhm.
ever get a chance. But it is quite an experience. I had a 3 day max on India, and I gotta go. I gotta
That's it.
go three
Oh,
or four
okay.
day max.
Okay. Well, that's good.
That's
I'm
all
going to
I
file
can
that
do.
away. I'm going to file that away. There's a little bit of delay. It's
So I
probably
think my
I don't
oh,
know.
there you
We
go.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, I think it just got a little cloudy here. It hardly ever rains or anything here. It's kind of weird. But it is almost technically winter, but the weather doesn't really get cold. We've
Uh huh.
adjusted because we were cold. I mean, we've been here 2 years now, but in the winter time, because
Yeah.
we were in Florida, so in the winter time we were like, so it's better
Oh
now than
wow.
it was for us, but still occasionally like it's windy and that could have something to
Uh,
do with it too. So, well, that's fascinating actually. So, hmm, you did mention something about Canada, like a Canadian um studio, and I have found because there are a lot of I know a fair amount of Canadian yogis who are European descent, who are Asian. I mean, I know diverse group, and
gotcha. Yeah.
some of them. It makes me feel that people there or studios there are a bit further ahead than studios in the
Hmm.
states in terms of their
Yeah.
embracing diversity. Because the more I talk to people, I'm like, huh, that's really fascinating. I wonder
It
why that
is.
is. I mean, I don't know.
America's so like I mean, it's so consumer based and
Mm,
so consumer capitalistic because, like, again, I had to explain like to my partner, like, because he grew again growing up in India, yoga is a part of like their school schedule. It's
life.
accessible to everyone. It's workplace of but I had to explain to him how in the U.S. Yoga is insanely expensive. I mean, it's expensive here too. Although
Mm-hmm.
there are some places that you can go to, but just explaining how inaccessible it is and how whitewashed it is, and then just explaining that, and just again, like you're just thinking, why is America like this? Like, why is it? And then I know a lot of yogis on. I wish I could remember their tags. Have been really, I'm really proud. They've been like really hounding into how the Yoga is Dead podcast. I love
Yes.
that because
Mm-hmm.
it's too
I know it's a
and
good one. Yeah.
they go they hold, and rightfully so. It's something that has been taken and just totally like the whole meaning has just been drained from it, and then it's just making it seem like it's just for just skinny white women. That's it, suburban like, and not it's not something that everyone, especially in the U.S., because our mental health is such a struggle that
Yeah.
why can't it be something we all benefit from? Our Canadian neighbors get it. Not to say Canada, they have their own problems, but
Sure.
it's interesting to see that I mean, this one studio. Again, I randomly found them doing a Google search. I'm like, you're black. You're from like you're from the Philippines. You're
Right.
from Singapore. I mean, it's so diverse, and I'm like blown away by it, and understand why other like diverse as the U.S. is. I mean, why?
Yeah, our history is,
But
I started to say a very bad word, but our history is so messed up. I
I
mean,
mean,
not
it is.
not like
I mean,
Canada's isn't messed up, but you're
right.
right. The consumerism, our history around race and acceptance, and
Yeah.
the one-upman kind of thing that happens as new groups immigrate, um, or have
Hmm.
immigrated to the
Like
U.S.
yoga.
is just very different.
Yeah, like yoga. I think even historically, like when India was colonized, they came in and banned yoga in
That's right.
India. Like, hey, come into somebody's country and ban their own practices. And then
Mm,
decades later, they end up in in the United States or England or all these different places in the world. It's just like kind of mind blowing
it is mind blowing.
how that works.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing
I'm
that
just
I often
okay.
share about the, how do I put this? When historically, there's this recognition, I think, for Europeans that you are really in the global minority. You are not the
Mm,
global majority. And so, if I can make you feel, you global majority people, if I can make you feel that you're less than in any way, shape, or form, your religion, your practices, your color, your hair,
yep.
let's just, we could just go through the whole thing. Then, if I can somehow battle that, beat you, submit whatever you to that you actually believe it, then I can swap that narrative,
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
and
good. Yeah.
so that you think you are actually less than.
Yeah.
Um, and I think on some level, for so many people of color, regardless of whether they're black or, I just had a great chat with a friend. She's uh, Chinese American, and she's out in the Washington State area. But anyway, and she talked a little bit about that whole, um, you know, the person who's going to no longer be in the White House,
That
how that
one.
person sort of fueled this whole Asian thing.
Yeah.
That if you can basically convince people that you are less than, some of those people are going to actually buy it. They forget that they don't necessarily forget. I don't think they're necessarily aware about how you can internalize racism. You can internalize it so that you don't even know that you that's an
Mhm.
issue. So that you
Oh yeah.
believe that
Yeah.
you can't get into college, you believe that you're not smart enough or as smart, you believe. And I think there's something that's starting to happen where people are going, wait a minute, that's bullshit. And that if
Yeah. There's all these false narratives and stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and that if we're able to pull our all these global people of color together, there's a
Mhm.
hell of a lot more of us than there are of you.
It is. It is. And then once that little once they get a little whiff of that that feeling like they're going to lose that power, that's when they amp up all the attacks and all these narratives. But that's where you bring in like what you're doing is so important, like in the power of social media, about if they're not going to honor if they're not going to honor and want to sorry, okay, and want to feel like it's a like I have a baby and it's a cat.
It is.
I feel like a mom who's like child and it's
Well,
just a
you are.
cat. Um, Cat mom, I didn't sign up for this. This is, when you get a little lonely and you just want something to take care of. I got a little street cat here. It's crazy cat. It's crazy. But oh yeah, what you're doing, the sharing these stories and then just sharing like going on social media and then just using it as a platform to like get our voices out there and
Mhm.
let other people know that whatever the media says or whatever keeps going is not always the case
Mhm.
at all. And that's why we wanted to do the Black Women Abroad, because people don't. And then we both have our own things. See, being an expat, me being a plus size yogi of color, just wanting to like let people know, even though we have a little small voice, very small voice, but it's just been it's so important because people will stay on social media, they stay on it, and
It's
then
true.
like with the black girl, oh, I'm so bad with handles on Instagram,
Black girl
but just the
yoga.
black yoga. Yeah, like just knowing, and you're like, and I'll scroll through Instagram like, we do yoga too. Like we do yoga, we travel, we're expats, we're everywhere. But these aren't the stories that you'll see. So we have to, try to get our own stories out there so
Right.
that other people, at least somebody, sees
Right.
something.
And it's not necessary.
Yeah.
I think that the point that you just made about there may be small voices, but it only takes one person to be impacted by that small voice. And there's
Yeah.
always a ripple effect. If we look at what that
Mm-hmm.
ripple effect is, when I decided to do this, and I said, because my work has always been in diversity and inclusion, always,
Okay.
always. Well, there was
Okay.
the clinical piece too, but a lot of the work had been inclusion, diversity, coaching, for profit, nonprofit, whatever. Um, and I said, there's just something that bugs me. Now, there's the need to have sort of affinity groups, for lack of a better way of putting it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that we can feel comfortable, kind of like what you said about being a Black expat. Um, However, there's this thing that I kept saying, and it's a theme probably running in all of these chats that I'm having is, but there's just this division. But there are white folks that are our allies, you
Yeah.
know,
That is.
and there's a place for all of us joining. Or they put it this way, I said there should be a place.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Right.
we can make our own. We're gonna come up there anyway. You
Right,
know.
right.
Mhm.
For us joining. And so I would have people, white yogis would, especially after the Floyd thing and everything on your feed was percolating,
Right. Yeah.
and we saw so much involvement with studios and individuals and yoga challenges and whatever. Anyway, and so people would say, but I didn't know. And it's like, that's okay. You didn't know. Um, and I believe you didn't know, and now you do.
Yeah.
Um, the good thing is that now you do, because then you can take the responsibility to move forward and make changes that are
Mhm.
necessary. That's the ripple effect thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so as people are watching these, I'll get an email or direct message saying, I got one. She's gonna know who she is when I say this.
Okay.
I got one that said, she said, I really loved eavesdropping. I said, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you
Oh,
watched.
but she used specifically eavesdropping. That's interesting. I
Yes,
still love that.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because
Yeah.
the connection that you make as Black women in particular, I don't know that white folks or white women get to see it in this way. You know what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say?
yeah, I get it. That's why I think her word eavesdropping was so important, because there's also like a thing where like especially white women will like there's like an interjection into the conversation versus just being listeners.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
listening
yeah,
to
yeah.
what people have to say. Sometimes that's the best thing that you can do. It's not all about, and I know it's a process for them too, that they have to go through, but just kind of let, just be a part of it. And sometimes being a part of it, and I still love how she said eavesdropping, it's just
Yes,
listening. That's powerful. And I really appreciate her for like doing that. Just
yeah.
listen. I mean, that's how we learn from so many other people. It's no different for black people. Like I know
Right.
some I feel like we're kind of looked at as anomalies somehow, or like even for even it's interesting. It's so layered to be an American, especially like to be an expat. I'm looked at as American first,
That's
and then
right.
when they realize, that I'm black, like because people my you here you people you learn how much you look like other people from so many different colors and from many different
Countries.
cultures and the shades of like the beautiful shades of people from everywhere. So once people realize you're black, then there comes this set of ideals that come with it. But I'm thinking like, and I get frustrated here, but then I'm like, the same thing happens to me in America.
True.
Like people look at me as a black American and they're like, I don't know how to talk to her. I don't know what to do when this black woman comes in my yoga space or comes to my class and it's like I'm just a person. Like I'm
Yes.
just a person. Like
Right.
and then thinking about like the principles of yoga and like again once because yoga it's so deep to learn about it.
Yeah.
And then what goes with that, and then are we really practicing yoga? Like
Mm,
it was really nice to hear about the studios that you mentioned that you know did something, especially the summer when America's just erupting. And then I just know so many that said nothing, did nothing, could
right.
care less. And I'm like, is it why are you practicing? This is a part of yoga. Like,
Right.
just humans. Like, let's go very basic and looking at people through humanistic eyes. That's it. Like, we won't even go that deeper than that. And it's really layered. It's really deep, and it's really hard to digest.
Mm,
Because I go back to that word human and not being looked at as like a human and not be instead of like what do I do with this what I do with this black woman instead of just like you would do anybody else.
right.
like so
Right.
I don't yeah.
It's what we got to get through so much. I mean, there's so many layers of stuff that people have to get through around the whole issue of black folks in particular. Um, and that point that you made about I'm American first, and then they figure out that I'm black. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, and here it's a little bit different because we kind of do
Okay.
stand out.
Yeah.
Because it depends on where you are, I think, and we're in a small place. I mean, it's small. We're outside of Malaga, and we're like a little north of about an hour north of Malaga, but we're really far from like Barcelona. They're pretty far
Oh,
from Madrid, bigger cities. The
yeah.
biggest city probably would be Granada, which has diversity. Okay,
Okay.
racial diversity, I should say, and religious diversity, more so. And because we're close to at least North Africa,
Yeah.
um, there is the African sort of diversity here. You do see some North Africans, and then you do see some sub-Saharan Africans. But for us, we stand out because we don't look like either. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah,
Some of
you
it,
understood. I mean, there's so
pe-
much diversity in Africa. It's unbelievable.
right, right.
Yeah.
So here for us, it's kind of like we're really not sure. They don't dress like the Africans. They don't sound like the
Yeah.
Africans.
Yeah.
African nationals.
Mhm.
Maybe they could be, if I don't hear them speak, they could be British, maybe, until we open our mouth. And then it's like, oh no.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That is the giveaway with the yes. When I went to India for a wedding, and then that's when I had locks. So the locks were a giveaway, but I had dressed in a sari. I was like, I'm going to my first Indian wedding. I'm showing out. Like I
Oh,
had
yeah,
on
girl.
everything. And then, but it blew my mind. Like they were like, they couldn't tell what I was. Well, they wouldn't have been able to know so much if I didn't open my mouth and I didn't have locks. Like
And
it
you
was
didn't right, exactly.
if my hair was covered, and to me, I was like, what about me? Like it just blows my mind because I never thought of like I've seen Indians who. I mean the spectrum, and I'm gonna always keep talking about because I'm learning so much about it. The spectrum of
Mm.
I mean, like I just again because of TV and because of this, there's all and they have issues with colorism,
Yes, they
major issues
do.
with color,
Hmm.
and that's the thing about being an expat is I didn't realize how deep colorism is internationally.
Yes.
Here, colorism is an issue.
Mm.
Everywhere color, in India is so layered and it's so deep, and I just didn't realize. Like I just didn't know the shades of like. I mean, when I especially going into southern India, I mean, just beautiful shades of mahogany. Like I was like, this is not something that you would ever expect from India.
Yeah.
It was just incredible. Like it just
Wow.
really was to
Yeah.
experience, just see it.
Mm. Well,
Mhm.
I'm so glad we had, this is going to be a part 2 to this conversation because I'm just the fact that your partner is Indian, and the yoga, and part of life, and doing things together, and your recognition, which that's what I hope people get to in general, is a recognition that yoga is way more than asana. I'm always saying
Mhm.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it
So I'm
is.
going to keep working on my handstand, because that's just me personally. However, meditation is what brought me to actually the asana practice. And and as you start to grow in the practice and recognize, like you said, that it's so much more about I don't even a way of life. I guess I want to say a way of
Yeah,
life, not
yeah.
necessarily just philosophically something, but a
Mhm.
way of life. It You grow. You should grow.
Mhm.
Um, in it, and being able to, boy, when I come see you, because I'm coming.
Yeah, come through. Come
the,
through.
the
Here, I got
conversations I want to have with him about, God, I want to know so much
oh, he'll
about
want to.
how he's, how he, I'm sure you two have these conversations, how you see it. When you even said before about having to explain to him about how commercialized it is, it it, it has to blow one's mind if that's just the
Yeah.
way I live my life.
Yeah, I mean, he sees how because I think I've learned like Americans, we just have a way about us that is no other. There's just
Mhm.
it's just American. So just some like he's like I'm like okay, I need my yoga mat, I need my blocks, I need a blanket, I need a cushion, and I need this. And he's like, what? Like again consumerism. It's like why do you need all like yoga is not that complicated. Like it's not that complicated. You don't need all that stuff. But I'm like, but it's cute. And then I have a pink yoga mat, and I have a green yoga mat, and I have a bolster, and I have my outfit. Like, oh my god,
I
because
see.
it's just the American in me, or just the Americans. Like, we're just so like prop heavy and all. It's just in yoga. It's not that complicated. You can go sit in the grass and
That's
meditate. You can
right.
go practice outside. Like, it's not that complicated. So, and then going to the just doing that one meditation, I was like, do I need a mat? Do I need like I was like, what should I wear? And he was like, it's not that deep. And I'm like, but what about this? And then should I wear this? Do I need vents in my shirt? Oh my gosh. So it's just funny how
Yeah. Your
different like
recognition. Hmm.
yeah, it's a lot of it's a I just call it we have our cultural exchanges. I learn a lot and we just learn a lot from each other. And I'm just glad that we had that in common. Like I took him to yoga on yoga on the helipad.
Oh, really?
This is funny because again, American yoga on a helipad. I have to go do so sometimes I do get in a gimmicky kind of yoga
Yes.
stuff. And it's
Yeah.
the top. The tar is over the top. It is over the top. It is luxurious. So you'll have yoga out on the beach near the white sandy beach. It's something so ridiculous. Yoga on a helipad. There's really no point to it. Honestly, you're on a helipad and you're scared half the time, so it's really not that great. But I do it anyway because it's beautiful sight. But just all the commercial yoga stuff. But I'm glad he did go to yoga on the helipad with me. I think he liked it. But like this is necessary to
It's not
go to
necessary. I guess
yoga.
that's the point. It's not necessary. It can be fun. That's okay.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a nice way to draw. It's a nice way to draw people into, like, especially people who are curious about yoga. Sometimes, and they're scared. It's still sometimes kind of a nice, like, come join me on this little picturesque Instagram, because everybody's on Instagram, Instagram worthy kind of.
Right.
You gotta kind
Right.
of bring in the gimmicks too. So plus it's guitar, so that's kind of a way
Guitar.
life is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Fascinating. Well, I appreciate it, NT, that, I don't want to take too much more of your time. We're almost at an hour, and I'm sure you got stuff that you need to
Oh
be doing.
wow, I didn't feel
I
like
know.
it.
I know it doesn't feel like it, right? But we're going to
Oh,
keep in touch for sure.
yeah,
And definitely we will do this again. It would be great if he would agree to do it with you. Just
oh
a thought.
yeah, yeah, he would.
Yeah, just a thought. Wouldn't that be fascinating to just and informative and yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'll volunteer him. I'll
Oh,
volunteer.
okay. Okay. So
You
we'll
will love.
work on that. We'll work on that for as we come into the new year. I'm definitely gonna because that would just be really wonderful to be able to have that kind of discussion and share. And I will make sure people know you have your podcasts and finding you on Instagram and all that good stuff. And we'll continue to connect. I so appreciate you taking the time. It's been wonderful chatting.
Yes.
So we could really go. I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll end this and we'll keep
Am
talking.
I talking too much? Like, I don't know. I'm so much. So, like, I know that's what we run into all the time with the podcast. Is like, is you have so much to talk about. It's so many things that just pop up as you're going.
It's
So
true,
yeah,
right? It's true. Okay, well, thank you so much, and I will definitely be in touch and tell him he's been volunteered.
yeah. I don't know. Like, I'll throw in
Okay.
something.
What is his name actually? What's his name?
The loss.
Balas.
Yeah.
Okay, we ready for you. Yeah, definitely.
The cat will probably show up too. The cat will be there too.
That's hey, that works too. Okay, honey. Thanks so
Okay.
much. I'll
Okay.
talk
Bye.
to you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You're welcome and thank you. Are you kidding?